This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com. Welcome to the Triple Option. Here's your host, Paul Catalina.
Alongside our Wednesday Warrior, now on Thursday, our Thursday Trooper.
Sure. Yeah, that sounds good.
Steven Simcox. Okay, you want to know how this worked out? So you couldn't do yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Pierre Nugent couldn't do yesterday or today because he's got jury duty.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So he had jury duty, which he was like, well, maybe I'll say I'm crazy or something or that. Like, well, you're a local TV personality. You can't do that. I suggested that he just be really attracted to the defendant. And be like, what are your feelings? I'm like, other than the defendant is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. I think I can be impartial, but, honestly, I'm just looking at this person and saying, how could that do something so heinous?
Have you ever been selected for jury duty?
I had never been selected for jury duty. I've been called 4 times in my life. Mm-hmm. Time one, I was in college, and I walked in, and, it was me and, there were, 3 other college students in the jury pool, and we all knew, it was no, they're not going to pick us, but you have to go through the rigmarole. But let me tell you the trial, though. I was in Tallahassee, obviously, and it was the most Florida man thing ever. The trial was 2 brothers. It was an attempted murder trial. And one brother shot the other brother in the ass with a .22. Pretty close range because they were fighting over who was the best NASCAR driver. And they lived out in the sticks. And tell me that is not Florida man right there. And the thing is that the defendant had asked for a speedy trial. So this was only 4 months after it had happened. And the guy, I don't know if it was still legitimate or not, but was still sitting on his little donut in the courtroom and just looked miserable. And the prosecutor's telling the story of here's his guns and here's what, we can give you broad strokes of what happened. And then he told the story and you could see half of the jury pool was just
So, were they aspiring NASCAR drivers?
No. They were just drinking in the backyard.
Okay.
And
thought this argument came up.
And then listen, Dale Earnhardt Jr. is the greatest driver of all time.
That kind of. So they were having
no, hell, it's Richard Petty.
They were having
you always do this, Carl. And
they were having a LeBron MJ debate in the backyard.
Yeah,
that turned violent.
Look, if you don't admit that Richard Petty's the best, you can get your ass off my property. I'll tell you that right now. And then it's listen, Ned, I'm tired of your bull crap. It's Dale Earnhardt now and forever, or does this tattoo mean nothing? And then, obviously, a gunshot was fired. So
that sounds like the plot to the next Cars movie.
Oh,
Cars 4.
Yeah, it was. And again, they're telling this. Oh, and I didn't get on the trial, but believe you me, I did find it in the newspaper the next couple of days and read about it. And my roommate, I told him he was about to go to law school, he was interning at the county clerk office, I think. I can't remember where he was. But he pulled the transcript for us, and it was pretty much that. When they recounted, look, I was just sitting there drinking a Keystone Light. We're having a discussion, and then he got mad. Well, would you describe it? Look, we were close, man. I just can't believe he did this to me. There was no all that.
And this was not we're wrestling, accidentally it goes off.
No,
this is
it was
I'm shooting
the guy who got shot got up and walked off. And they might have been shooting beer cans in the back anyway.
Yeah.
Because the gun was handy. So they were out there talking, drinking beers, shooting beer cans.
Sure.
Squirrels,
Tuesday
raccoons,
afternoon,
whatever. Yeah. And got in an argument about NASCAR. And as the other one said, "The hell with you, I'm leaving," the other guy picked up his gun and shot him.
I feel like you would be really good as a jury member. Mm-hmm. I've been called twice. Neither time I was selected. The first time, I would have been okay with being selected because I was just working. Like, I just graduated college. I had like 2 part-time jobs. So it was like, if there's a time in my life where I could be on a jury, this would be, would be the time. But it ended up being a civil trial, and I was like not super interested in it. It was like a car accident thing. So I didn't get selected. I was fine. Last time was pretty recently. It was like a year ago, and I did the math pretty quick in my head. Like, they numbered us off 1 through 50, I think. Uh-huh. And I could tell, they were selecting 12 people. Yeah. And I could kind of tell they were going down the list. Like, okay, juror number 1, is this person acceptable? Yes. So I'm juror number 14.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I'm only 2 people away from being in this thing.
Yeah.
So I saw an opportunity. Somebody was like, it was a case where a man who was on probation got pulled over. He was found in possession of a firearm illegally. And so they were trying, he didn't do anything crazy, but they were trying his case because he was in possession of his firearm. Yeah. So they were like, could you put a man, the maximum sentence was like 50 years. Like, could you put a man in prison for 50 years for this? And I like shot my hand up real quick. I was like, no, sir, I couldn't.
Yeah.
And they're like, there's no scenario where you could find yourself putting him in prison for 50 years, even without knowing the details of the case. And I was like, nope. Big Second Amendment guy right here. Number 1 gun, man. I couldn't do it. And so I got scratched. But
yeah. So then I've gotten 3 times here since I've lived here. One of them was at, was in Woodway, which is a municipal court. So it's not like, it's not even a thing. So there was a kid who was smoking a cigarette, and like when there was a burn ban on, and flicked it out his car window. And like Woodway, like the police, like people who don't live here know this, but the police are ever present because they're constantly pulling over speeders for going 32 and a 30. Like that's what they do.
There's not a ton going on yet.
Yeah. I mean, like, they might break up a high school party, or, occasionally they'll get like a crime, but they don't have a lot of that. Usually when it's a crime, it's coming from somewhere else, and they're just like, "Hey, we got a car in pursuit," and it's like, "Oh, he's coming through here. We better go help out." Like, that's when it is. It's a nice area. It's not like so. There's not a lot of businesses. It's mostly just houses. So it's not like there's not a lot of things going on. So, but it was right before Memphis played Kansas in the NCAA championship in basketball. And I said on the air, I said, look, I just don't think Memphis, they're really bad at free throw shooting, and it's going to come back and bite them, which is maybe the most sage thing I've ever said.
That's a great take.
In my life. And the judge, who goes by Judge Vic, he's a judge here today. He was listening to the morning show that day as I was doing the morning show. And he said, and I had made many jokes about, what kind of crime I was going to, come up with in Woodway, like, I was like, I hope it's high school party. I hope it's vandalism. Midway sucks. Like, I don't know.
Right. Somebody cut their grass too short.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So I made 2 hours long. Just every time I got back was making a jury duty joke. And then he goes, well, is Mr. Catalina here? And I was like, oh, yes. And he's like, I have some questions about some comments you made on the radio this morning. And I was like, oh, man. Like, he's like, do you believe that jury duty is not a worthwhile endeavor? I was like, no, I'm just making jokes. He's like, okay. Well, I've asked that one. He's like, do you honestly believe that my Memphis Tigers, was where he went to law school, are not going to win because they can't shoot free throws? And I said, yes, I stand by it. He's like, well, you're honest. Please leave. He's like, get out of here. And so he called me at the radio station the next day and said, yeah, I heard you. Like, he's like, I knew there was never going to be a case anyway, because the kid was going to get there and see all these people and go and take the plea deal of paying his, $1,000 fine. Right. Like, that's why he wanted to go to trial. He didn't want to pay $1,000. And he's like, well, just take the deal, And so there was no trial, but because he didn't start a small fire. And then the last 2, here's how small this area is. I went in, and the defense attorney was a guy that I knew quite well. I would even say we were friendly and acquaintances. I knew I wasn't going to get picked because They said, do you know anybody? I'm like, him. They're like, how do you know him? Like, we're friends. We've had beers together before in the past. He was a client at the radio station. Yeah, so I can't, So, okay, all right. Well, so I'm going to go. Plus, I knew the judge. So then the next time I had that trial, that attorney was on trial. I knew him, and they still made me stay all day. But I was like, they asked me directly, do you think this would affect you? I'm like, yeah. Like, I don't know what to think. Like, yes, I do. And then like a couple of the people that were like sitting kind of in my area, and there was 100 people for that one, maybe even more. They had a large jury pool because it was a very like high profile murder for hire thing that had happened. And like one of them was like, yeah, what do you do? And she's like, well, Judge, I work in your office. Like I was in the judge's office.
He passed me every Tuesday and Thursday.
Yeah. And he was like, oh, Arlene, hey, how you doing?
There's a one-off SNL sketch that I love where Bill Hader plays this game show host, and the name of the game is just "What's My Name?"
Oh, and it's not one-off.
Oh, it's not a one-off?
Oh, they just did it this week. They did it this week with Mulaney.
I've just seen it
What's
once.
that name? Yeah.
What's that name? And so, yeah, it's like some doorman comes out, and he's like, hey, this is the doorman.
Was it Justin Timberlake and no.
I can't remember. I know Kenan Thompson was like the doorman in the sketch, and he's like, hey, I've been the doorman at your apartment for 10 years. I got gifts for your kids for Christmas.
Yeah.
I give, high fives or whatever. And it's like, what's my name? And it's like, oh, I can't think of it.
Oh, I'll send you the other ones.
Okay.
Yeah. Mulaney wrote the sketch, I think, initially.
That makes sense. Yeah.
And so he's been on the last two. This one was without Bill Hader, but it was election themed. It was very funny, this last one.
Okay.
Where they brought out Tim Kaine and was like, okay, he ran for vice president in 2016. When you said this was the most important election of all time, what's that name? And it's like, if he was somebody like Tim Walz, I would know. And it's like, he is exactly, they put him like side by side. Exactly like Tim Walz.
Same person?
Yeah. His name is also Tim. But anyway, I digress. We've got some news to get to today in college football, Stephen. Billy Napier has been retained by the Gators. Scott Strickland saying today that he sees progress. The Gators are 4-4, which is better than most people thought they would be at this point in the season. After the first month, everybody was like, he's good as gone. I still think they're going to have a losing record. I think the only win they have left on their schedule is when they venture into Tallahassee at the end of the year and play Florida State. But he plays Texas this week, likely without DJ Lagway, who's questionable. But I just don't think you can. Now that he's coming back, there's no reason to run him out there. Just take your lump, and then maybe play him against Ole Miss and LSU, two teams that will also have too much offense for Florida. But so they're probably 5-7 as it stands right now. But he's coming back. It would be 3 consecutive losing seasons. I'm not totally sure this is a winning formula for the Gators to get back into national prominence, but here's what I think. There's not a lot of choices out there for them to get. Lane Kiffin was kind of the pipe dream. They need to maybe wait out this because they want to replace Billy Napier with a big name. So they need to find a big name that is available and interested and maybe not hard to wrestle away. Number 2, Scott Strickland would be making that hire this year. I think this is more about, look, if Billy Napier doesn't succeed, Scott Strickland's going to be fired too. So if you're the Florida president, I would tell Scott Strickland, why don't you just bring Billy back? And then if we're not good at football again, I'm going to let you both go. And the next guy will make the hire because I don't see an athletic director making 3 football hires when none of those involved the retirement of a legend. You could have 3 football hires if you have a legend, they retire.
Right.
Okay, you hired him, he's a legend, you and he were together. Then the next guy comes in, wins for you, and takes an NFL job. And then the third guy is the guy you have to replace 2 dudes who are really good. But if you have 3 football hires normally, it's because you've had to fire 2 other people, which he has had to do. And this would be his the third football hire if he did it. So I just don't see the benefit of doing it right now, especially financially. And they also have an interim president because Ben Sass, former senator from Nebraska, has left, retired, so to speak. But if you've read anything about that, it's a very controversial mess he left behind. He had a very interesting budget that, of course I have to have $100,000 cocktail parties for donors.
Yeah, who among us?
That's not even a cocktail party. That's just a group hang.
That's on the fiscally responsible side of my budget.
Of course, this is a group hang. Of course, it costs $100K. If we want a full dinner, I don't want shrimp from the Gulf of Mexico. I want shrimp from Spain. I want shrimp with a lisp.
I got people to impress.
Yeah.
I got myself to impress.
Yeah, they have Gulf shrimp all the time. They live in Florida. So what? No, I don't need a cow from the United States. We're getting Kobe beef from Japan at the highest level, and we're getting full steaks of it, not just little slivers. Mm-hmm. So they've got enough problems. So while I'm surprised that they didn't take a big swing and let him go, it kind of adds up this way.
When you lay out the context, it makes more sense. I mean, I was pretty shocked when I saw it this morning. One, just the timing, which I understand in today's college football world, you want to make sure you have a clear direction because of early signing day and everything that comes with that, the portal. Now the people that are committed to Florida, which this isn't the most impressive class, but at least the people they have locked down are like, okay, I know my coach is still here. The current players say, okay, this is our guy, like it or not. This is who we're bringing back next season. And I guess in some ways, I mean, before the year, Paul, we were talking about this Florida schedule as literally maybe being one of the toughest schedules in the history of the sport with, the new look SEC, and they pretty much got all the heavy hitters. They're getting Texas this week. They already played Georgia. The list goes on. So I guess you can spin it and saying, all right, 4-4, they're kind of treading water. There's still a possibility they make a bowl game, even though that doesn't seem likely. And if they did finish 6-6, that would honestly, I think bring some momentum to the table. The only reason I'm shocked, and maybe it's just as simple as these things are happening in back channels all the time. So it's possible, Paul, they've already reached out to the few people that, would make a big difference. And they've kind of been like, I'm not really interested. If there's any chance Deion would come there or something like that, they've made the proper calls.
There's no chance that Deion would go to Florida.
Okay.
He would I could see him getting talked into Miami. I do not see him getting talked into Gainesville. Mm-hmm. And for the simple fact that he would not be well received in that part of Florida, one. And two, there would be enough people who would just not let it happen. There's no way they'd be like, oh, we're going to get Florida State's most famous player ever
to coach the Gators
and coach the Gators. It just wouldn't happen because there'd be too many of the money people that would be like, absolutely not. And given the nature of that school and where it is, I think there'd be a lot of alums that would be like, they don't want Deion's act there.
I think the only risky thing is, and maybe they're just banking on the fact that, hey, if it doesn't work, we can just make wholesale changes. I mean, to a certain extent, perception is reality. And he's the most maligned coach in the sport in a lot of ways right now. He's been number one on the hot seat charts every single week. Billy Napier, I'm talking about, yes. And he was supposed to be this kind of wonderkin Saban disciple who did a great job at a smaller level and was going to take over the SEC by storm. That hasn't happened. And so I just don't think there's going to be a lot of energy and excitement. You can already sort of see that from the fan base, around the recruiting base. But, hey, they're basically banking on continuity does mean a lot in the sport. And maybe there's something they can build on with Langway there. It just doesn't feel like it at the time.
Yeah, and look, DJ Lagway's a big reason why he's kept this job is that they actually do have a guy they can build around with DJ Lagway and who's a budding superstar, and he likes Billy Napier. Now, usually this happens at the NFL level, but in the new world of college football, you have to keep your quarterbacks close. Now, does this ensure that DJ Lagway isn't going to watch for a minute and see what they do and then go, all right, well, I am going to – the spring window's open. I think DJ Lagway in the spring window, if he just decided I don't like the way this is going, I'm going to transfer. I think he'll stay through it, and he likes Billy Napier, but he now has a lot of power, and they've given him a lot of power. So if he's just decided, like, no, I don't think they're going to win here after all, I'm going to go to A&M, or I'm going to go to Oklahoma, or I'm going to go to, wherever. He's from Texas, so I don't know where he's going to wind up, but I'm going to go someplace where they're going to win, and I'm gonna go to Miami. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, QBs are a premium. Like you said, the NFL example. There's countless examples of guys in the league that their current team might be like, I don't know. He's shown some promise, but could he really put it together, or is he actually an elite quarterback? But Paul, I mean, like, people are desperate for good quarterback play or even decent quarterback play. So there's always gonna be somebody who might be like, all right, let's spend some big money. And I mean, I wouldn't blame him for at least entertaining that offer, even though with Napier coming back and believing in him, that would be kind of a tough call. But hey, that's the world we live in now.
Yeah, absolutely. Who do you think is now on the hottest seat? Because Dave Aranda, I think, has cooled his seat down almost to no heat. Nothing. Like, look, if they go on a 3-game losing streak after a 3-game winning streak, then I think you can turn the temperature back up again.
Right.
I just don't see that happening with this schedule that they have and the way that they're playing right now. Mm-hmm. I mean, I potentially see them winning all 3. Like, I think that would be a very likely possibility, and I think they're at least 2-1 in that stretch. So, all of that, who do you think is on the next hottest seat of a major program?
Good question. I mean, is Mike Gundy there yet, or is there still just too much capital
I think he's
to
got
make
too
that
much.
move?
I mean, he's the king of that place.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
I mean, even at a winless place, that's tough. Other guy, Big 12-wise, it seems kind of silly for them to make a move after 1 year, but Brett Brennan is struggling. And, I mean, I think the public has already kind of turned on him in a big way just from the comments that have been made. Those are kind of the two that come to mind.
Venables, maybe?
Yeah, Venables. I mean,
Neil Brown?
Neil Brown's in a tough spot. Venables is probably the answer. I mean, Oklahoma, it's been a long time since they've been bad.
I'll
mediocre.
I'll throw another one. If we're talking Oklahoma, let's talk about Lincoln Riley. They're not getting better.
No, they're not. It also feels like it would be the perfect time for Lincoln if he – I mean, not even if he wanted to do it at this point, more if he just needed a survival tactic or a life raft to say, hey, I'm going to go – like, what's the NFL interest like now?
You know what I would do if I were Lincoln Riley? I would say, like, I would do hey, I need a break from recruiting. I would go be Caleb Williams OC. Because that's going to happen next year. They're going to give him a new OC. And I would bet you, and see if you can, he's not going to get an NFL head coaching job right now.
No, he's not.
But if he wanted to go be an OC for Caleb Williams and say, look, I just think I want to be in the NFL, he could do that. Although I don't know if he will. That would probably have to be he's fired. But I promise you, if he was fired, the Bears would be like, hey, Lincoln, how about you come up here and get some baby back ribs we cook in the oven? You want that? That'd be great. Come on up here. That's my impression of the Bears front office, even though I know that's not what the Bears front office sounds like. That's just a collective Bears front office.
2 dudes from the south side of Chicago.
Yeah.
There.
Just like, hey, listen, Carl Wolarski, Naperville, Illinois. Just wanted to give you a call and tell you the Bears wanted me to reach out. Just give you some good old Chicago suburban flavor. Let you know we let some baby back ribs. We cook them in the oven, which, you're not good at barbecuing anyway, so how do you know the difference? And look, I know it's cold here in the winter, but, it's great in the summertime, pal, and you know how to work then. So come on out. We'll go to a Cubs game and chop it up. What do you think?
What do you think the mental back and forth was for Lincoln? It felt like he sort of saw, okay, Oklahoma to the SEC, that's going to be an uphill battle. Then he goes to USC, which was in the Pac-12, and then almost immediately they end up in the Big Ten.
Yeah. I don't know. It's probably, but he's getting cagey. Cagey's a bad thing. Mm-hmm. James Franklin's cagey. Ryan Day's cagey. Coaches are not cagey unless they're just tremendous jerks because they're in a good spot, right? Right. Ryan Day's in the best spot of all of them, but he's still very cagey because it might be A, his nature, and B, like he has not done it yet. And, a fan base that is totally willing to forgive Urban Meyer of every single thing he did lost Urban Meyer, and he was the replacement. And they're like, well, we are not seeing any of this stuff that we saw under Urban Meyer. It's been a decade since
and every loss is
they've
just
won a title.
Right. Every loss just weighs on him so much. I mean, it's just like.
Because, he doesn't have many.
No, he doesn't. It's not like there's a long list of inexcusable Ryan Day losses.
It's like 6 or 7 total. And
it's just Michigan and Oregon.
Michigan and Oregon, one time to Missouri, like one other rando, and then that's it. Like, so he doesn't have many losses, but he loses in the big spots.
Yes.
And that's not what Urban did. Urban won in the big spots.
He did.
Jim Tressel won in the big spots. Until I still, to this day, I wonder if he wakes up in the mornings like, effing tattoos. Are you kidding me? Like, Quinn Ewers is driving a Lamborghini like right onto the field, and my guy got a free tattoo. Not like you can give it away.
Yeah.
When, like, it's not like Quinn Ewers should take that Lamborghini and sell it for money, and then he's like doubled down on it. And then like Terrell Pryor's tattoo is I'll be like, hey, I'll sell you half of this cool ass snake for $800. Whole thing for $1,500, so it's $100 off.
You're right. I mean, he was, and Ryan Day is not. I mean, he's not a sleazy guy, but like Jim Tressel is like the most just straightforward. He just wanted to rock a good sweater vest and scarlet and gray, and play good defense.
He wrote this book about like here's how you. Well, Urban Meyer did the same thing, but like, which after Jim Tressel makes it look even worse. But like, this is how you have like winning programs, winning attitudes. Like this, it's like for high school coaches and all this about the right kind of character guys. And then right after that, he gets caught lying about a tattoo. And I remember at the time, because of just the net, like, how could you lie and do these things? And why not just admit it? And now I look back and go, of course he friggin' lied about it. It's the dumbest thing in the world. Like, it's the dumbest thing for the NCAA to care about a kid getting a free tattoo.
Right. It's just, I mean, it doesn't make any sense.
Like, it's not a tradable commodity. So what if you got a free tattoo? How does that make, like, there's not like players all over the country going, I heard they get free tattoos in Columbus for the football players. You know what? Screw you, Notre Dame. You don't make me pay for my tattoo.
I got to get to the ink shop in Columbus.
No, that's not how. So, and again, we look back through things at history and we see how dumb they were. And I say that for no particular reason right now this week, for any reason at all. But, one day we're going to look back through history and realize a lot of things we did were really stupid as human beings. Really, really stupid. I'm not connecting any dots.
No, of course not.
No. I'm just
coincidental. I mean, just general statement.
It's a very general statement that sometimes through the lens of history, you're like, wow, we people are stupid. You get a lot of us in a room, we really make really stupid decisions. Like tattoos are punishable by ruining a guy's career. So let's do
Good job, NCAA. You're killing it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, hey, we can't have that. You can have bagels but no cream cheese. NCAA.
Another mystery solved. NCAA Incorporated.
Could you imagine just being in the room and being like, hey, why can't we have cream cheese? Well, Michigan has a cream cheese budget, but Central Michigan, they can't afford cream cheese. Look at them.
Yeah.
Like, what are you just, you're just supposed to spit on them? They're supposed to do it. Like, well, I think they can afford cream cheese. No. Cream cheese is a delicacy.
If they do, it's not Philadelphia. It's just the off-brand.
Yeah.
It's just the great value cream cheese.
I mean, like, what are we doing here? You guys should just go get Philadelphia cream cheese, and they have to go buy, Food King? No.
Yeah.
No, that's not right. But I forgot what we were even talking about because we got on the bit, but just coaches in general. Yeah, I forgot.
Coaches' hot seats. That's what we're talking about.
Coaches' hot seats.
Yes.
And look, I think Lincoln Riley, like all those guys, they're like cagey. They're tense. They've got to loosen up. Look, Tom Herman was the best example of this. That job was too much for him. I think you texted me about Tom Herman last week.
He had a meltdown. He's at FAU now.
Yeah, and he got Alex Golesh did the blow by.
Alex Golesh did a very assertive handshake.
Yeah,
and they kind of ran up the score on the Owls because supposedly they'd had some beef the year before.
Yeah,
and Tom just chased him down.
Yeah.
Like literally chased him down and got in his face and wanted to go at him. And his wife eventually pulled him to her and said, "Hey, let's calm down."
Yeah. Tom, like I just remember like my favorite story of him. I have two. There was after a Texas OU game, little Jordan Humphrey had a big game, and the guy got up and said, the reporter said, little Jordan Humphrey had a good game. And he's like, it's Lil. L-I-L, Lil. And he wasn't like kidding around. Like he wasn't making a joke. He was like, it's Lil. Not little, Lil. Put some respect on that name. And the guy's like, oh, all right, well. I mean, he had 9 catches. So, I mean, what was the key? Why was he, such a matchup nightmare for Oklahoma today? And then we were at Big 12 Media Days, and as God is my witness, the guy's 90 minutes late for his breakout session. And he comes in, and a UT reporter goes, Coach, might have to do some up downs or something here. You're 90 minutes late. Because he had kind of ragged on this guy for being late to a press conference by like a minute one time. And so, like, that's what he said. So he turned around and he's like, oh, don't blame me. And the Big 12's got me going here and here and here and here and here and here. I mean, you'll go talk to Bob Bolsby if you want to talk about me being late. And it's like, kidding. Just
simple joke, trying to lighten the mood a little bit.
Just kidding, Coach.
Trying to get back comfortable.
Sorry, And like I said, there was like one day, like somebody's going to walk. He kept that job. They're going to walk into the office and like all the laptops are going to be smashed. And he's like, they're all doing an update.
Yeah, Paul used to always make this joke that one day they would come in and the laptops would be thrown away. And I was like, the letter P was stuck on one of them. So what are we supposed to do?
Yeah, exactly. Like, it was stuck. Like, well, I mean, yes, I put them all in the dumpster. And then I dumped all of the coffee in the coffee pot because that was cold on them. What would you do? Called Steve, the IT guy. He's like right on the second floor. Like he'll be up in like 10 minutes. I mean, he fixed it last time. So yeah, those kind of things are very telling. Also, just real quick, Jonte Cook. We're talking about Texas. Jonte Cook, very highly touted, 5-star prospect. They're so deep at wide receiver, he can't get on the field. Apparently, there's a little bit of locker room tension there too, but Inside Texas didn't kind of elaborate on that. And look, there's no, like, they kind of just said, look, this has kind of been coming, because of this. So he's going to be in the transfer portal. I'm curious to see if he's like, Garrett said, Texas State, call him, get him out there. I think he's probably got 2 transfers in him.
Probably a couple.
Yeah. Because he might have to go somewhere, prove that he's actually that good, then go to the
right.
That
was my question for you guys. It's like, is his next move, I guess, small school, kind of
like Texas State, UTSA.
Establish that.
Well, I was thinking
force.
UTSA initially, but the culture that Traylor likes to establish and how he wants certain players to come in there, I don't necessarily think Cook could go in and be a good fit for that. But for GJ and what they like to do, I think it would be ideal if he elected to go that route and go down level.
Absolutely. When we come back, Steven's going to tell us about TCU and his feelings on the TCU Baylor game last week. And, also just to tease for the regular show today, Steven is going to be a guest. Like, College Game Day has guest pickers.
Right.
We're going to have guest top fivers. And Steven is our first guest top fiver.
All right. I love it.
So it is going to be TCU themed. So,
yes, it is.
Yeah. I already have your graphics loaded up and everything.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Paul does it all.
Yeah. Absolutely. Look. I've been making graphics for the show all week. I made that. I made that. I'm getting there. Like
Canva,
somebody taught old grandpa how to use CapCut.
CapCut hates to see Paul coming.
I'm gonna overload the server. Pretty soon I'll be on TikTok doing dances.
Sign me up for that. I'm all for that.
All right, that's next. Then the wheel. This is 365 Sports.
is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com. Welcome to the Triple Option. Here's your host, Paul Catalina.
Welcome back, Paul Catalina, Steven Simcox. And Steven, before we get to the wheel, I mean that one and that one too. So, just saying.
Oh, you're killing it.
Some of them I didn't make. Some of them I did. But
Circle of life.
yeah. All right, here's the thing. Jack hasn't been here all week, and he's going to come back next week and be like, okay, but
He's going to complain about it.
we could do it better. I'm like, yeah, well, yeah.
You weren't here, Jack.
Yeah. I mean, just
Jack
trying
on
to-
vacation?
He's been under the weather, poor guy.
Oh,
so,
okay.
And then he doesn't work Thursdays and Fridays anyway, so he's gonna have a nice vacation of being sick. So, and nobody would wish that on their worst enemy, even though Jack is our worst enemy. Steven, TCU and Baylor last week, another classic.
Yeah, good game.
Okay, when TCU beats Baylor, it's usually not a classic. Like, it's usually, I mean, maybe it is for TCU, but it's not a game.
Yeah, it's not always a close game. There's been some blowouts.
I don't think of, like, when I think of the great games between TCU and Baylor, outside of, there was one really close one in Fort Worth, but, like, outside of that, there
was the
TCU
walk-off
won.
field goal in 22
Yeah,
and
yeah.
McLean.
Yeah. But, like, yeah, that's the walk, like, the one, like, and then there's a bunch of where Baylor just didn't show up. The Jalen Reagor game was not a classic. Like, that was a really crappy football game.
Yeah, it was.
It was an awful football game. And it was one of those ones where I was like, can I leave? Like, I feel like I could go in any direction to another football game in an hour and be in a better one than this.
Yeah, it was literally just the TCU defense and Jalen Reagor winning that game.
Yeah. He had a punt return and one, like,
He had like a 4th and 1. They ran like a reverse to him, and he housed it.
yeah. And he had like a punt return too, right?
Or like it was like crazy. It was bubble screen.
Oh, bubble screen, yeah,
And
yeah.
he like ran all over the field and just
Yeah.
ran past everybody.
Yeah. He had that and that reverse. I think he also had a punt return that, like,
Set him up for a field goal, maybe.
set him up for a field goal, yeah, or like set him up to like end the game, like where, you know, Baylor couldn't get back in it. But that was like the three things that could happen to TCU on offense were just all him.
Right.
But when Baylor wins the game, it's 61-58. It's 2015 in the rain and TCU, you know, like those nights. And,
Yeah, there was the triple overtime win the year
Yeah.
that Baylor went. That year with the rule that they went to the Sugar Bowl
Yeah.
and lost in the Big 12 title game.
where Max Duggan stepped out of bounds just barely.
Yes.
Well, I mean,
Some might say he was in, but yeah,
would you be one of the some?
I think he might have been in, but allegedly he was out. It was close. I mean,
Yeah.
he was right there, you know.
Yeah,
And I think the call on the field was that he was
out.
So
Yeah.
it was one of those things where you're probably not going to overturn it.
Yeah.
But no, there's been some great games, and I thought, I mean, Saturday night, a lot of TCU fans are super disappointed. I understand it. You never want to lose to your biggest rival. But I honestly kind of came away encouraged. I mean, I think both teams are playing pretty well, especially compared to what they were doing early in the year. TCU didn't turn the ball over. They had some injuries on the defensive line, and that allowed Bryson Washington to just go crazy. That was kind of my biggest takeaway. Is I just feel like Baylor was better in the trenches. But honestly, I think the biggest difference from a coaching standpoint was, you know, Dave Aranda was aggressive. Like, not only on that 4th and 9 call, even though that's pretty gutsy because they were around midfield. Like, if TCU got stopped, in theory, they could have gotten in position to kick. But TCU had a 4th and 2 in a tie ball game around midfield, and Sonny decided to punt. And after the game, he was like, you know, probably should have rolled the dice on that because we weren't getting stops. They kicked it, and Baylor scored and took the lead, and then TCU was kind of playing catch up from there. But it felt like that's the first time. And I'm not saying these teams are as good as the teams that I'm referencing, but 2014 and 2015 had real stakes. Like, the teams were great. There was real hate between the coaching staffs. And this is the first time in a long time where it felt like the schools were kind of on the same level. There's been a lot of, like, TCU's down, Baylor's up, you know, or maybe Baylor's down, TCU's up. Even last season, both teams were bad, but Baylor was in a much worse place than TCU was. And this was two evenly matched teams that I thought played a pretty clean game. And It was a fun one to watch. I mean, I hated the result, but, I think both teams kind of laid it all out there, and there wasn't a ton to complain about, really.
Yeah, absolutely. So just to tease, your top 5 is going to be the blueprint to fix TCU.
Yeah.
So that's coming up later today, but I did want to get your opinion on that. Emery, bring us the wheel. I thought this would be a nice new way to do it.
Great regal voice there.
Yes. Yeah.
She gets paid pretty well.
Yeah. Oh, look at that. Look, Emery might have Wally pipped you on the handwriting here.
Dude, he's the son of a calligrapher, so I don't really I can't compete with that.
Yeah. Okay. So Steven actually, just for transparency, Steven sent me these beforehand so I could research
We're
them.
ranking the best running back seasons of all time.
Yeah.
In honor of what Ashton Gentry's doing at Boise State. And so it's one of those things where I'm like, I'm not going to spring. I mean, Paul's knows sports. Like, he understands Melvin Gordon was really good in 2014, but he might not know, like, all the numbers. I gave Paul a little bit of a heads up, say, hey, you can look over these and get a better idea of what your rankings are going to be.
Yes. So here we go. Let's spin the wheel. Jonathan Taylor in 2018. Are we 12 deep here?
Yeah, we're 12 deep.
We're 12 deep. I'm going to put him at 10.
Okay.
Great season. Really love Jonathan Taylor. Wish he could get healthy in Indianapolis and play a lot more. I think it'd be better for the Colts. It'd be fun to watch, but I'll put him down at 10.
This was also, I mean, during a run where Wisconsin just.
Well, there's another Wisconsin
running back here. There's a couple, but like Wisconsin was the school. If you wanted to run the ball, like they just had an endless amount of 300-pound Midwest people that could move folks.
Do you want to just do the Wisconsin running backs and get them out of the way?
We can do that. That's
right.
Jonathan Taylor at number 10.
Melvin Gordon at 12.
Okay,
I'll put him at 12. Yeah, still a great season, dominant, but in the grand scheme of things, also I'm kind of weighing like where their teams were in that, like how they affected the national picture, and most of these outside of the Wisconsin guys did not. So
right. It's kind of like Wisconsin running backs, sort of like Texas Tech quarterbacks for a while, where just like Leach could just find any person in a West Texas high school and be like, hey, do you want to throw for 5,000 yards next year? Because I could make that happen.
Yeah. Actually we're going to move Jonathan Taylor down to 11.
To 11, okay.
Yes, because I am going to do something that's going to be very controversial right here. Ron Dane in 1999 became the all-time leading rusher just a year after Ricky Williams had done it. And that was fantastic, but that Wisconsin team was so-so. And he stole a Heisman Trophy because Peter Warwick stole some jeans from Dillard's. If Peter Warwick doesn't steal those jeans, he's the Heisman Trophy. Garrett, am I wrong?
No, Peter Warwick was a freak.
Peter Warwick would have won the Heisman Trophy, but he had a 2-game suspension. And I would like to give Florida fans credit. I'm in the swamp. That is 99. FSU won the title. In the swamp for the last game of the season. Peter Warwick scores a touchdown in the game. In the Florida student end zone. In the swamp, which is a ridiculously loud place. And like they pulled the mast up on a sail up on a ship. It was like 5,000 Dillard's bags on like sticks.
That's funny.
Like waving at him. And we were like, touche.
Yeah.
Well done. Tip of the cap to you.
That's really good.
Yeah. But we won the game. And my friends who were Florida students were sitting in the Dillard's bags. I was on the other side of the stadium, as far up as you can get, which is where they put the FSU students. Also, my tickets were very cheap, so I'm not complaining. But I knew that was part of it. So a bunch of us are walking down and cheering, "It sucks to be a Florida Gator." And my friends go, "Do you think Paul's in that?" They've been waiting here for a while. And my friend Joe goes, "Paul's probably leading it." Like, do you know how many beers he had before we went in this thing? Like, at this point, he's sober enough to figure out what's going on, and he is, definitely leading it. And for sure enough, it was like, as soon as it stopped, I'd be like, it sucks! And then just go again. Just me in the throng of people.
Both sides.
They're like, get in the car, jackass, let's go.
Both sides were being creative,
Yeah, but Ron Dane, look, number 10, all-time leading rusher, but again, did not affect the national picture all that much.
Where did Ron Dane play in the NFL? Was he
played with the Giants.
The Giants?
He played with the Giants, yeah. I'm sure he played at another place too, but he was drafted by the Giants.
Okay.
So this is a really tough list. Ooh, Tony Dorsett, 1976. Let's put him at 3. This is one of the best seasons for a running back ever. He was fantastic. Pitt won the national title under Johnny Majors. Like, for Pitt, this was the heyday.
For your family, where does Tony Dorsett rank in Cowboys lore?
Oh, he's pretty high. My father, my mother, and sister were on a trip when I was in college with my sister's Girl Scout troop to Disney World. And they were sitting down at one of the stunt shows or something. And Tony Dorsett came and sat in the seat right next to my father. And they spoke the entire time. And my dad got a picture and all that. And my dad called me from a payphone next to the bathroom at Disney World or MGMC, whatever it is now, Hollywood Studio. I don't know what they call it now, but from a payphone, it's like, hey, I was like, what's up? He's like, I just met Tony Dorsett. I was like, aren't you at Disney World? Yep. Like, right now? Like, yeah. Your mom and your sister are in the bathroom, so I thought I'd give you a call. You were calling me from a payphone at Disney World? It's pretty awesome, though, huh? Yeah, Dad. Absolutely.
Have you seen him at the Super Bowl before, Tony?
Yeah. We actually, 2 years ago, we did an interview with him and Earl Campbell at the same time.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay.
It was amazing. Awesome. And Tony's got CTE. I mean, but he was doing well. He was really doing well. He's very friendly. I actually told him that story, and he was like, "Oh, okay." I mean, not that he was going to remember it anyway, but it was 25 years, whatever it was. But I was like, "Yeah, I just wanted you to I said, I told him very frankly, thank you for being so nice to my dad when I know you didn't have to be." And my dad was just you knew him. I mean, he was just the kind of guy that was, so jovial and all that. You couldn't help but like him. But yeah, it was. But yeah, Tony Dorsett, I put him at what, 4?
3.
3. I put him at 3. Yeah, I'll put him at 3. Yeah. Okay. Derrick Henry, 2015, I'll put him at 9. Big deal, awesome. And look, I'm married to a Titans fan, so Derrick Henry is, like a saint in our house.
Right.
King Henry. The saddest I've ever seen that family as a group was when he signed with the Ravens. And they knew it was I sent them the video of him walking through and saying goodbye to all the staffers. And he knew everybody's name. Mm-hmm. He's like, gonna miss you, Carl. Oh, Beverly, oh, God, thanks for being so sweet to me every morning. And they're all like, we're going to miss you, Derrick Henry. Other players are walking through you suck. You're here and he's leaving. This is not just. But, yeah, I'll put him at number 9.
Yeah, he was special, man.
Yeah.
And he's just built so differently than everybody else. There's that picture of Mark Ingram coming back to be part of the coin toss, and he looks like a child compared to Derrick Henry.
He's you want to ride on? Yeah, you want to ride on my shoulders? Come on.
And you talk about there's all of these guys are great athletes. Obviously, in high school they dominated, but Derrick was one of those huddle tapes or Max Preps tapes that you were like, this is insane. I couldn't imagine getting done with class and watching him play.
2016, halfway through his rookie season, he started very slow. Mm-hmm. He wasn't very good. I had a friend who texted oh, the Titans made a terrible decision in drafting this guy. He's big and slow and sucks. And then literally 2 seconds later is when he had that 99-yard run. And it was I don't know about that. And then from that point on, he's just been a monster.
Dominated, yeah.
Yeah. No, I would tell you, just as a sports fan, as a football fan in general, a fan of humanity, I love Derrick Henry.
Yeah, great job, Cowboys.
I love Derrick Henry. I'm not a jersey guy, but I tell you right now, I would have bought a Derrick Henry Cowboys jersey. Yeah, I would have done it.
He's special talent.
Mostly to taunt my family, my in-laws, but still.
Still counts.
Yeah. Jerry, did you not, like, get the memo that, like, this is about me?
I know. He should listen to us.
Number 1, Herschel Walker.
Ooh, all right.
Number 1. I thought about this. The one guy you left off the list, I was surprised was Bo Jackson, but statistically, like, these guys were all, like, ahead of that.
Yeah.
Although, and I probably would have put Bo number 1 because of my personal bias of my favorite athlete of all time. But yeah, Herschel Walker. There's like 2 times, like Tony Dorsett was like the preview of Herschel Walker, right? He was this is what it's like. Not to like downgrade him at all because I think he's great. I mean, he's number 3 obviously on this list, but Herschel Walker was like. Tony Dorsett was like when they bring the robot out and it like pours you coffee, and then Herschel Walker is like, oh no, this is it flying a plane. Like this is what it can do.
This is the evolution.
Yeah. And actually, look, Herschel Walker had a very like his professional career was very up and down. And it's because he's kind of nuts. I'll just I'll save my story for another time. But we had him on the show in 2020. And then 3 hours later, he called me at 10:30 p.m. and spoke for 45 minutes straight about nothing. And I just was like, okay. I feel like I really shouldn't I feel like he might be in crisis. So I'm going to hang up the phone because I don't want to read in the morning that something bad happened to Herschel Walker. And I've been like, he called me and I just hung up on him. But
not a lot of people have that story either. 45 minutes with Herschel Walker just on the phone.
Oh, look. It was some weird shit, man. I'm just telling you, it was weird. It was weird.
Okay, I'll ask you more about that after the show.
I'll just tell you, about 10 minutes it was about werewolves. And not like werewolf, like the reality of werewolves.
Not like the movie Teen Wolf?
No.
Not like, hey,
no.
I like this Michael J. Fox movie.
Why it would be cool for there to be werewolves and that there probably are werewolves.
Heck yeah, brother. Well, yeah. Herschel took some hits.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, he's number 1. Okay.
We already talked about him.
Marcus Allen, number 4. We'll put Marcus Allen at number 4. Look, this is the same season as Herschel Walker. Mm-hmm. And Marcus Allen only outshone by Herschel. He was I've actually like Marcus Allen is probably the second best USC running back of all time, and the first best running back is OJ. And we can't really talk about OJ as a football player.
Did he do anything post football career?
Yeah, we can't really talk about it as a football player anymore. But Marcus Allen was the second best one of all time, and it's like this thin between the two of them. And the third best one is also on this list, and they've had a lot of great ones. But yeah, Marcus Allen, I put him at number 2. So 1 Marcus Allen, 1 Herschel, 2 Marcus Allen, 3 Tony Dorsett, 7 Ashton Genty, although this one could raise.
Right, he's still got time here.
He's still got time, but what he's doing is unbelievable.
Yeah, especially, I mean, people don't run the ball like that anymore.
Yeah. No.
It's just, I mean, it's a throwback to a lot of the guys that we're talking about on this list. There's not workhorse backs like that.
Yeah.
And he's just, everybody knows what they're going to do.
Yeah.
He's just still finding ways to get it done.
I'll say this right now. I'll say it into camera. If the Cowboys draft him, I'll let them take me to the goalpost in Oxnard. Like, that's how happy I'd be. Like, just I'll go out to Oxnard. You can take me to the goalposts, and I'll sit there for an hour.
Clip it.
Yeah, I'll do that.
All right.
Like, I'm willing to put my, like, I'm out there saying, please do this, Cowboys. Mm-hmm. Who else is? You're just ready to complain at Jerry. You got no skin in the game.
You're not making bets.
I'm not willing to, like, are you willing to humiliate yourself so the Cowboys would be good again? I am. I will reserve the right to say that my wife will nix this. But I can't believe I'm saying this, but 4.
Man.
4. And
Thought this was
only
gonna be number
because
1.
they weren't in the hunt like the other guys were. But 4, I mean, I thought about putting him number 1. It was an unbelievable season. But honestly, like, my 1 to 5 on this list is, like, really, really thin.
Okay, you did say 4 for Marcus Allen. So do you want to put Barry at 5 or do you want to flip-flop?
Flip-flop them.
Okay.
Yeah, Barry. Let's put Barry
Barry at
higher.
4, Marcus Allen 5. Okay.
Who was 2? No, Barry at 2.
Oh, Barry at 2. Okay,
But Barry at 2, I'm sorry. I thought Marcus Allen was at 2. No, Marcus Allen's at 4. Barry's at 2. Barry's at 2. You know, I went back and forth on him and Herschel, but Herschel, man, was really, like, well, look, here's the other thing. Herschel Walker changed college football and changed the NFL because before underclassmen couldn't leave, so he just left and went to the USFL, and then the NFL's like, well, we can't have this, and eventually changed the rule. But but also Gil Brandt was negotiating with him under the table for quite a long time. A story that Gil Brandt, may he rest in peace, and my dear friend, would tell you without
Candidly, yeah.
I mean, he wouldn't, like, it's not like a secret. He's like, yeah, we were talking to him. I don't. What the hell do I care?
All right, we got 3 left.
Okay, who haven't we talked about?
Reggie Bush in 2005.
Okay, Reggie Bush is going to be my number 5.
Okay.
Because that was one of the best seasons I've ever personally seen. As a matter of fact, until he made that stupid lateral in the championship game, he did nothing wrong. Which is, Lindale White was complaining about Lincoln Riley on Twitter this week, and my response to that is like, well, guess what, Lindale? Get a yard, and we don't have to deal with 2005 Texas forever. The Longhorn Network would never exist if you had gotten a freaking yard.
Yeah, I think my hatred from Texas makes me partial to those USC teams, and he was on another level that year. I mean, he was just insane.
Yeah, but I will tell you, like, Lindale White's failure to get a yard might have wrecked college football. We would not maybe be in the spot we're in
if he could just convert that 4th down.
if he had just gotten a yard.
Yeah.
A yard. At 250 pounds. Knock some people back, dude.
Ricky Williams, 1998.
I'll put him at number 6. Ricky Williams. My dad and I were actually in the parking lot of trying to get tickets to that game, and I was surprised because it felt like a reasonable number. Oh my God, Jack's alive. Glad he made it. So it felt like a reasonable number to me. Like the guy was tickets. My dad, Aggie fan that he was like, look, I'm not going to pay this much money to maybe watch us get beat. Like, that was his thing. Like, no. Like, I understand it now, but like I was almost 18, but like 17 years old.
You're like,
I was like,
show off the cash, Dad.
Pony up, Dad. Pony up. He's like, no. And again, A&M was the better team that year. Texas actually wasn't really all that good under John Makovic in '98. A&M went to the Big 12 championship game that year and lost to Nebraska. And so, or no, '98 was the year they won. Because whatever. But Ricky breaking the record.
Yeah.
We're at the parking lot of that game, then got back in the bus, went back to our car, and went home and watched it. And I was like, no, I get it now. I don't want to watch this guy break the record for the team I hate with every fiber of my being. So he's at number 6. I guess that would make LT
number 8.
Number 8. And that was a great season. It was a great season. I've come to know LT over the years since he's from here. And so I hate to put him that low, but I mean,
well, and also, I mean, like, I do too, but a lot of those games weren't on TV. I mean, the 436-yard game against UTEP, there's just like grainy footage of a few plays here and there, but obviously special player.
Yeah. By the way, I'd like to point out that, like, running backs are that important when you have them, is that Hall of Famer, well, not a Hall of Famer, 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 and then Ricky Williams, Herschel Walker, Reggie Bush, all right there.
Yeah, good NFL players.
Yeah, Ashton Genty not out, but the Wisconsin guys are all not Hall of Famers at all.
No, yeah, that's true.
So, I mean, Jonathan Taylor, I guess, would still have a chance.
He's had a good career,
but yeah, there's not Hall of Famers, but yeah, there's some Hall of Famers on that list. Reggie Bush had a really good NFL career. Ricky Williams had a good career when he decided to play, and then obviously, who else is in that not in the Hall of Fame? Derrick Henry's not a Hall of Famer yet, but he sure as hell will be. So, and Ashton Genty's still in school. So,
yep.
Well, Steven, thank you so much.
Thank you, Paul.
Yes. Watch the main show today, because if you liked Steven, you'll get to see another little short segment with Steven when he guests on the top 5 today. We've got Pat Smith from Three Man Front from Birmingham talking SEC, Billy Napier, Max Olson from The Athletic. We have Peyton Soysher talking rankings right now. We'll go through the CFP. Plus Kenneth Davis of Big Ten Country and Josh Neighbors will join us today, and Steven's top 5. That's all coming up at 3 o'clock. It is a smokeless Thursday today because Midway plays tonight, and it'll be just one smoke Friday, as Smokey will be here solo tomorrow. I'm on my way to see some friends in Alabama. So that's going to do it for us. This is the Triple Option. Thanks for watching.